Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here again, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. I was just watching and, or should what I say, witnessing the TV. They had these bulls and situations where they had a battle with humans. And they were showing who won. They were doing this with horses. I mean, I've seen some stuff watching that I only have imagined that these animals can do. But witnessing, wow. Today is the day that the moon is supposed to do a total eclipse on the sun. And the nation, I hear there's some strange things happening. There are people weeping and crying as if some magical is taking place. And they say this happens so seldom that it's something truly special, they say. Now, I don't really expect anything to happen special. In fact, I really have no concern about trying to check it out. But I got kids, and they are making all of the arrangements, making the glasses and stuff. And so if I happen to be around them, I know I'll probably get a chance to glance up and see what this is all about. Also, I heard this morning on the news that Jerry Lewis had passed on. A guy who was very instrumental and concerned about helping people who had certain types of diseases. And I think it was muscular, MS, muscular dystrophy or something like that. And also another celebrity had passed on, Dick Gregory. I was very surprised to hear that Dick Gregory had passed because Dick Gregory, we all know, is elderly. Jerry Lewis, I understand, was about 91. Dick Gregory, 84. I haven't heard too much about the first, but Dick Gregory, we see him all the time, uh, giving information, sharing information on Facebook and YouTube. And, well, he's older, but there was no indication that he had a health problem. In fact, Dick Gregory is known because of his health. One of the things that he's renowned for is his emphasis and concern about health and eating the right kinds of foods, and to hear that he had passed, and he's the kind of guy that tell you something's wrong with him. So some of the guys and I talking together, one of the first things crossed our mind is that something touched him, somebody touched him. We recognize the fact that there are things that go on like that. But I just wanted to mention those things to you. Really, what I'm here today to talk about is that on this mission, it has brought me to a point where others want to do more in the name of what's good, what's proper, and they want to do a little bit more organizing. And one of the first things that they asked me and others if I believe that Jesus Christ died on the cross to save my soul and to save the souls of people. And that's a question that I'm sure most Christians would get asked by anybody who didn't believe, and sometimes they might even get a discussion about amongst themselves with Christians. And so I thought about that for a second, and as I'm thinking about it now, and I recognize that the only real information I have about Jesus is something that I've heard. And I say that again, something that I have heard, whether it was spoken or whether it was read. And over time, constantly, so you can come to accept it, but does it mean you believe it because you accept it? Thought about that. Then I started using my abilities that I've been given by the Creator. And I thought to myself, here, first of all, are a group of people who are captors of me and mankind. Disassociate me from my culture, or from our culture. And so we know nothing about it, especially when we grow away from it. Know nothing about what our true culture was and what got us to the point that our culture was what it was. We know nothing about it. It's all been robbed of us. And then we are taught a new faith, a new religion, if you were, about you know, we taught Christianity here. I don't know where we taught another place of the world where you were captured and taken to, but here we taught Christianity. And so you ended up, I would just jump up to my time, basically accepting it. But you never stop wondering why people don't practice it, because they present the Bible story in such a way that it can be truly beautiful. Yes, there are some crazy things that took place in it, as crazy as the things that's taking place today. And so that alone does not make me think that the Bible is wrong. There are certain things, when there are certain messages. It's the message. When you can, if you believe you know God, then somebody passing along some messages that don't fit, you don't believe them. But if you don't know God, you all are founded on a belief, then you all really screwed up. That's why the world, basically in America, is screwed up. Even though they call us one of the richest, most powerful nations on the earth, they also say that we're behind a lot of people. Some nations got free education, some nations got free health care, all kinds of stuff, but not America. Anyway, so you got this that you have to constantly deal with in this life. Now, so you got, I think if you really think about how they brought you here, how I was brought here, and I'm using the slavery thing because I can relate to it and I can share it with you. If you are interested, you might be able to identify. But they feed that stuff on us, feed us on us. And so now we accept that a white man gave his life, died on the cross, so that all people who would believe that Jesus Christ was the Son of God and that he actually died, and if they walked the path that he walked, that they would be saved. Now, what does this allow the people to do? It allows people to still express their choices, but once they accept the choice that Jesus Christ was the Son of God, then they become separate from the institutions of the society, simply because they take their hands off of it. They do nothing. And if you're talking about the world, some people call it hell, but let's say the world can go ahead on and be created in as a negative fashion as possible, because anybody who got some positivity going is not going to go too far. Now, and depending upon what kind of positivity and what degree of the faith and commitment, it might get you killed. So I'm thinking about these people here in Charlottesville, Virginia, the KKK, the neo-Nazi, the white supremacists, the white nationalists, and all of these groups, they're exhibiting hate, the same thing basically that fomented the Civil War. Hate, having to do with something that really belongs to someone else, but somebody else trying to control it. So hate. And you saw that same fervor of hatred being exhibited there just last week. And you recognize that these are the same kind of people that try to tell you about a God. But I realize that the only thing that I could say that I know about that world is that I know God. Now, I don't know what form God is in. I call and refer to God as He many times because that's what I was taught, that God was a He, right? And so it just caught up in me. But I don't know what form that God is in. But I do know that the burning bush story is easy for me to believe. It might never have happened. I'm not saying it did, but it's easy for me to believe. Why? Because I've had similar experiences where something happened miraculous that no human being could have anything to do with. None whatsoever. And yet it unfolds right before my very eyes. It tells me it came from, and it wasn't magic. but it was beautiful. It was wonderful. It was magnificent. It was an expression of love, and I can say that because I experienced it. I'm not asking you to believe it. I'm just sharing with you what I know. And because I know this, I know that there's a power out there that was able to do that with me. And if that power is able to do that with me, I can understand why it could do whatever they said it did with Jesus. But if it didn't happen, it doesn't bother me because I have a relationship with the power that made itself known. No belief, made itself known. And it is because of that which I know that I advocate for. So I don't go walking on the mountain saying that Jesus Christ died on the cross for my sins. Because the message to me, even if it were true, is that he didn't die on the cross for my sins. He died because of my sins. What kind of sins? The sins that I see today. The sins of people separating themselves from doing nothing. Being as good as they can possibly be, but to whom is not to one another. Because they close their eyes to everything that's going on, expecting a miracle. This miracle, the belief that something's going to come and rapture them out of the clouds, rapture from the clouds, and come down here and take care of this business. Whoop everybody's side head. But listen to this. They believe he's going to come down and beat people up, kill people, destroy them, just like the devil is doing, destroying and killing people. So if you look at it, it's almost like they shaped God up to look just like a man. Jesus expressed it in Jesus Christ with white blonde hair. And even in the book, you talk about turning the other cheek. You talk about nonviolence, and then at the same time you talk about violence in its greatest form. You talk about oppression in its greatest form. All of the things that takes place in the world takes place right there, and I can understand that. I can see that. But when you present it about God, you got God going along with everything that the world does. Tell you that, and then in the end, after he told you to be quiet, don't be rocking the boat, don't be shaking the boat, be still according to what you're being taught. Let the government that have power rule you according to what you've been taught. And then when the power comes according to what your belief is, it's going to come down here and act just like the demons. The demons pulling guns and shooting and killing and slaughtering. And then you believe that Christ is going to come out of the clouds and ride down here and whoop these jokers' heads for you. You just waiting on them to whoop their head. And so it's better for me to believe that if God could talk to Paul, Peter, anybody, then if you want to be my God, you got to talk to me too. Why? Because I'm not listening to you about the stuff that you have described to being righteous, and I'm living in it in pure hell. So, these are kinds of things that happen in our lives, and yet and still, it doesn't separate us from what we still believe. I think about the message that I've been carrying forward. We all know the conditions of the world. Now, we might have different beliefs about why it is as it is, but we know the condition of it. And we all know that each of us, we may not know about the other person, but we know that each of us want to be peaceful. We know that each of us want to have prosperity, and we want joy in our lives. We know that each of us, at least if we don't know that each of us, I'm saying that each of us, that includes you, want peace in our lives, prosperity in our lives, and joy in our lives. Each of us want whatever it takes for our dreams to come true. And that includes survival, food, clothing, shelter, education. Education helps us to be able to envision, to imagine beyond our limited imagination, to do even more. to have health care to protect us from things that would try to take us out, get us sick, beat us down, old age, all that stuff. We need this for survival. And in order for that to happen for so many people, even if it happened for one person, if there's only one person on the earth, these things are still basically required. And if, my friend, it was just one person on the earth, this one person would be required to provide all of these things, each and every last one of them: food, clothing, shelter, education, health care. You'd have a job to provide for that, for yourself. And I guarantee that would take up all your time. You wouldn't have any other time to do anything else. You wouldn't have too many kids if they gave you a wife with that kind of work. Anyway, that's the way it would happen if it was just one. If it were two, you could break it down and split it up some kind of way. If it were four, you can break it down and split it up some kind of way. If it were 3 million, you could break it up and split it down some kind of way. If it was 300 million, you could break it down and split it up some kind of way. Some kind of way where neither one of these individuals would have to do each of these things. All of this they will be responsible for themselves. Not a single one of them would have to do all that again. This is broken down between all of this 20, 300, 3 million, 300 million, 8 billion. They all indulge in this process, each of them. So glad that they don't have to do all those things, but just one of those things. And they can choose from it the thing that gives them their greatest pleasure, gives them their greatest joy. That. The resources to provide that these things can be done, manifest, have been given by the same power that I just told you about. And because of that, because each of us put our hands in it, we now, this human family, made by this power we can't see, are creating everything that exists. And in such an abundance that the survival for each human being is provided for by us. And the things that's going out to us belong to us. Why? Because we, in a partnership, in a family relationship, created all of these things for us. For us. So we got need, we got the resources, we got the skills, and we got the action that builds this food. A lot of it, clothing and shelter and education and health care, and all of the population got a role in creating this stuff for us. Now, to me, that gives you your heaven on earth. Now, when I go to people saying, this is what I believe that you should know, because I know it. So I'm telling you that this can produce your dreams, what you're on your knees praying for, what you're asking people to bless you for. This will produce that. And they will tell me, in other words, they will respond according to their programming. They don't want to hear that. They believe in the Democratic, Republican political structure. And they support, whether it's Republican or Democrat, and nothing else. And I'm thinking they're still going to church preaching to people about God, and hear God speaking before them. The Spirit of God speaking before them, running out of my mouth. And they reject it all the way. And so, do I trust people? No, because I know that they have just shown me that the message that I brought to them, I might have well been speaking in Portuguese. But it was worse than that, because in Portuguese, they wouldn't know what I'm saying. They wouldn't even know the words that I'm using. But in the form of English, they know every word. They know what it's supposed to mean. They've just been indoctrinated in such a way that they just have to reject it. And it would take a miracle. A miracle as the burning bush. A miracle as what I shared with you. That would get them. But for some strange reason, I have no idea why the distributions of miracles go as they do. But I do know one thing, that those who have seen the miracle, those who know the miracle, those who know the truth have an obligation to stand up and be a representation of that truth, whether that truth is exposed to anyone else in a form that it was exposed to me or you or not. But the faith that we have that's built on what we have, what we know that others don't know, presents us as love letters to the world, presents us as salt to the earth, presents us as children of the Most High Power, because we know how to love. And that basically means that our compassion for others is the same as the compassion that we have for ourselves. One other thing, let me jump way back to where I was started from. I don't know if I mentioned it to you, but today I was watching the news this morning, and I saw President Donald Trump and his wife and his son getting off a plane. And for some strange reason, the president didn't have his head up boasting like Lion King. Kind of had his head down, maybe watching the steps that he was coming down. His son's head was down and his wife's head was down, so they probably were watching the steps. But as I looked at them coming down, I didn't feel what I normally feel about it. I kind of felt sad. I felt sad for Donald Trump and his family, because I know that they, each of them, are wonderful people. Donald Trump and his whole family, I know they're wonderful people, but they have been taught differently than many people. But they're only responding to their teachings, and their teachings, for the most part, according to the majority, is ugly teaching that we like to disassociate ourselves from, even when we're still attached to it and we're trying to hide, and we don't want Donald Trump reminding us of how ugly we really are. And so we know that he's uglier, so we just put all the ugly on him to try to keep it off ourselves. And I can see him walking down those steps off that plane, knowing that whatever his intention was, it was in his mind, it was good. And now to have half the nation, at least 150, almost 200 million people disgusted with you, seeing you on TV. Every move you make, you got a camera. I mean, you just naked before the world. And they are looking at you constantly. Some loving you, but most of them hating you. Ooh. So I just felt, I felt funny and felt sad for him. I thought I'd just share that with you. Now, so out of all of this, what am I saying? I'm saying that the only way, I don't even know why I'm saying this, knowing you're not going to believe it, but somebody said, you drop the seed. Let me give you an example of what this might be a better example. You remember when, and I want to direct this question to the Christian people who go to church, and I really want to address it to the mega church people. I'm still talking to everybody, but I want to address this to the mega church people. And people who are come together in masses, and really all churches, but the ones that come together in masses make this more real. You remember when the story you heard about the Protestant Reformation? Remember indulgences. There was supposedly at a time when the Catholic Church would not allow the people to have the scriptures, to read them. They didn't want them to know exactly what the word said. They wanted them to be able to accept what was interpreted by the word, because they were the hierarchy of the church were the only ones who really knew what the Spirit was saying. And people, the common people, wouldn't. So that you don't need a book. We'll just tell you. And in that control and that manipulative process, they ended up teaching people that they could, their relatives who might have been in purgatory. Some people say purgatory is hell. Some people say purgatory is in between, in a waiting state. But whatever it wasn't here. And it was a very negative place as far as their teachings went. And they were telling people that if you buy indulgences, and what you were basically doing was ransoming your relatives that are in purgatory out of purgatory. So in purchasing indulgence, that means giving them money, giving the Catholic Church money. And I don't know how, if these people came about by steps or parts of steps or fractions of steps, but it would only come up so much. You had to keep giving money. You had to keep giving money. And when you give enough money, perhaps they resurface, but then they can start going to the spiritual heaven. You could probably keep on paying their way to heaven. And so this is what the Catholic Church was teaching back in those days. And that was part of the major problem that Martin Luther had to deal with, and caused his, perhaps facilitated his separation from the Catholic Church and the effort to create the Protestant Reformation. Not absolutely create the Protestant Reformation, but just to reform itself. Now, when you Christians hear that story, you think back, how in the world could these people, these Catholic people, been so ignorant? How in the world could they sit there, giving up their earnings, giving up their possessions, believing that it was going to bring their relatives who were lost back out of being lost? Now, each of you Christians know that sounds as crazy as the devil to you. There's no way you would do that. Or is it? Because in fact, it seems and appears to me as though you're doing it all the time, but just in a different way. You're doing it when the pastor, the preachers tell you to plant a seed, $1,000 seed, a $500 seed, take a loan out, a seed you planted, and God gonna reward you according to the seed that you plant. God gonna reward you according to the seed that you plant. Now, people who know God look at you and say, wow, how can a person believe some stuff like that? You believe it because you don't know. And you'll do anything you believe, and you won't stop it until you know better. So, when it comes down to the peace and prosperity and joy that we say we want, and then I'm telling you that God has already provided for us, the only way we receive it, is when we accept it and then walk according to the principles that delivers it. And it is as simple as 1, 2, 3. You notice everything I said about having your dream come true, there was not one penny in it. Let me tell you one other thing, ladies and gentlemen. God did not create money to do the things that are required for his children, and I said his because, again, you know why. To do the things that's necessary for the survival of the human race. God did not require one penny. All God required was that the material be supplied, and it has, and that the people be given an ability to serve and do it. That's all. An ability to do it and serve. That's all required. The materials God has given, and people having the ability and using it to serve. That's all that's required. It does not require a loan. It does not require getting in debt. It does not require paying fees. It does not require paying penalties. It does not require getting licensed. It does not require any of that stuff. It does not require one penny, one nickel, one dime, one piece of dollar, not one gold nugget, not one silver nugget, not one diamond, not one nothing. It doesn't require any of that. Any of that. You heard somewhere in that Bible you believe in that the street signs were made out of diamonds and precious jewels because they didn't mean anything to anybody. Why? Because anybody could have them. They weren't anything, just another rock, different color. I'm gonna let you go, ladies and gentlemen. Now, think about it. I'll give you some information that should set you free today. Use it. Bye bye. Oh, and when I said bye bye, I'm just meaning okay, bye bye. This is not 666. Nope, this is not 666. I'm saying goodbye and thank you.